Welcome to episode 4 of Looking at Picture Books. This time I've got an interview with Japanese author-illustrator Momoko Abe about her new picture book, When the Sun Goes Home. But I'm going to start off by looking at a couple of other very beautiful books. I'm going to start by showing you Saturday by Oge Mora. This is a beautiful book, all made out of collage, about a little girl and her mother who spend Saturdays doing nice things together because the mum works every other day of the week. The end papers are the calendar, counting the weeks down to these special days that are marked with a star. And the day the story happens, they're going to go to a one-night-only puppet show. These beautiful, vibrant illustrations have such wonderful colours. I particularly like the composition here, where they're getting ready to go out, and all the different types of materials that make up the floorboards there. But everything in their day goes a little bit wrong. Story time's cancelled at the library. They go to the hair salon, but as soon as they come out, they get wet. And so the story goes. The peaceful afternoon in the park is actually very noisy. And when they get to the puppet theatre, Ava's mum has left the tickets at home and she's very upset. So the rest of the story is how Ava comforts her mother and says what makes it special is that they spend time together and it doesn't matter what they do. There's so much truth in that. Today was special. Today was splendid. Saturdays are wonderful because I spend them with you. And then they end up making their own flamingo puppet show. All the beautiful painterly textures in these different bits of collage. Just lovely. And I've just got to show you under the dust jacket. The book is made to look like a photo album. The second book this week is Moon Man by Tomi Ungerer. I thought it'd be nice to share a moon book, as Momoko's book is all about the sun. This book was first published in the 1960s, but it's back in print. It's all about the Moon Man, who's curious about what happens on Earth and wants to go and join in with the dancing. There's a lot of very, very dark areas in this book. It's very bold. Very eye-catching. I love the way these planets glow against that inky, bluey blackness. Things don't go very well for the Moon Man, and he actually ends up being arrested and put in prison, but he waits until it's all about the cycles of the moon. He waits till he's a quarter moon and then he slips out between the bars. And he ends up having this wonderful adventure in the forest, smelling the flowers, and even getting to dance with people after all because they think he's a man in a costume. Lots of interesting themes to discuss in this book. And in the end, a scientist helps him return. But his curiosity's been satisfied. And next it's When the Sun Goes Home by Momoko Abe. The end papers are jigsaw puzzle pieces because the sun in the story enjoys doing jigsaw puzzles. So the story starts with the sun smiling his very best smile because he knows people are relying on him. But as the story goes on, he gets more and more depressed about having to be responsible for everyone's happiness all the time. There's a lot of pressure on himself to keep cheerful. I really like this page with all the funny little signs and his framed jigsaw puzzles and all his self-help books on the floor there. If only someone would smile back at him, but they never did. He wishes he had a friend. Smiling was just too hard. And the moon has come to complain because he had to stay shining for longer because the sun didn't get up in time. These expressions on the sun's face are just delightful as he tries to force a smile. You can see the effort it's costing him there. And then he crashes out of the sky, but the clouds catch him. So what he learns is that it's okay to accept help. So now, whenever the sun doesn't feel so sunny, he knows just what to do. Let's call his friend the cloud for a jigsaw party. Hi Momoko, how nice to see you.
Hi.
I'm really looking forward to talking about your book, When the Sun Goes Home.
Thank you. Let's do it.
I really love this story. I just think it's so funny, but really deep as well. And that's what I like about it, and all the little details. And one thing I was really interested in that I think might be a nice place to start is in your blog post, which I'll link to in the video caption. You said you studied filmmaking at university.
Yeah,
originally, I wonder how that affected your approach to putting together a picture book.
Yeah, so originally I came to UK to study films because just I loved films, like especially British films. And then yeah, I totally enjoyed it. And then I got a job in like a TV and film, and I'm still working in that industry. And then yeah, just I really enjoyed the kind of both theory and practical approach to filmmaking.
Yeah.
Visual storytelling, and then I think it kind of transferable to picture book.
Do you know, I hadn't really thought about it before, but as soon as I read that, I thought, actually, of course, if you think about it as a little film.
Good, the picture book
exactly what it's like. Yeah.
The picture book is very kind of obviously visual heavy, medium. So, and also so I didn't go to art school. So I just learn how to make picture book by like kind of reading books and like researching on the internet and stuff. And then just some of the approach is quite similar to filmmaking, like storyboarding. It's exactly the same.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. So I thought, I know how to do it, kind of thing. So yeah. Also, like when I kind of work out for like composition of the spread. In my head, I always use kind of film terminology, like wide shot, close up, mid shot.
Yeah.
I always I'm looking through a lens.
Let's talk about how the story came about, and then about the artwork. Where did the idea come from?
Right. So it was completely like accidental. So I was just walking to a station to go to work, and then this image of the son having his dinner in front of TV,
which is my favorite. That's my favorite bit in the whole book.
I thought, ooh, that's, interesting image. And then just I couldn't stop thinking about it. And then I realized kind of contradiction of, what we think about the sun. But the sun is all, symbol of positivity and happiness.
Yeah.
And but he's in this kind of sad,
Yeah.
scene. So I
Feeling
thought,
lonely.
that contradiction, I can make kind of story out of it.
Yeah, and there's also kind of the magnificence and the hugeness of the sun, and there he is in this very banal, ordinary, everyday setting. I really like that contrast too.
Yeah. And then I start thinking why he's lonely, or like, have I ever thought about what Sans up to after he gone beyond the horizon. So I just started thinking about what he could be doing at home in the evening and stuff. So I'm thinking about maybe he just not doing up jigsaw puzzles by himself, or just not practice. He just not smile for the next day and stuff.
So do you want to talk a bit about the process of storyboarding?
Yeah, so I always so I do the final artwork on computer, but I always start with pencil sketches. So usually, like I just sketch out anything that come to my mind. I make it into more like a chronological work. Yeah, thumbnails, and then the thumbnails. It's just a doodles.
Yeah. And do you tend to try lots of different ways of doing those thumbnails?
Definitely. Obviously, I trying to, because again, I'm think like film. So in the film, you can't just have same angle, long time. You have to cut to different angles and shot sides and stuff. So yeah, I trying to do the same thing in my book. So I'm trying to mix it up, like wide shots, close ups, and different low angles, high angles, and stuff. So it keeps visually interesting. And then after that, I make into bigger proper roughs. And then still again like just pencil sketches.
And then when you start moving on to the next stage, is it Photoshop you use to do the artwork? So there's a lovely image here of your desk with your Wacom tablet, familiar sight. And then there's this lovely image of all the textures that you've created to scan in. So how did you make some of these?
Because I have like a day job. So, in ideal world, I really want to do like a real screen prints.
Yeah.
But it's very time consuming, and then it's not practical.
Yeah. So would you, if you had all the time in the world, would you screen print all the artwork for the entire book by hand? Wow.
I love screen print. At the moment, I can't. So I try to kind of recreate, kind of screen print feel.
Yeah.
On the computer. To do that, I try to kind of scanning all different textures. So I use sponges and different, brushes and like
you've got some circles that look like coffee cup rings. Is that what they are?
Yeah.
And then just thinking about the well, sort of following on from that, if you'd been screen printing it, I don't know how many colors you'd have had to do, but you have chosen a really lovely fairly limited color palette, and I believe that was inspired by one of your favorite filmmakers.
Yes.
Wes Anderson.
This book, because it's a story about the sun. So I knew I have to use sky blue and the yellow. The first one came to my mind was the Darjeeling Limited. Yeah, it's beautiful film, and I just love the color palette. So
yeah, it's usually very warm, isn't it?
Yeah, I usually go to like a Pinterest and stuff, and I start correcting, like a image from his book, and then I kind of print it out and then put in my sketchbook.
I've just noticed actually on this page, Is that your cat?
It's
What's the cat called?
so Clementine.
Clementine.
Yeah, so I try to put Clementine as much as possible in every book I illustrated, as far as it's, contextually, okay.
Exactly. I put our cat in my most recent book too. It's too tempting not to, isn't it? There's so many lovely details in the book, just even on that same page. The costumes here, the dressing up costumes, it's wonderful. What what was the source of inspiration for all these sort of little details?
Yeah, Pinterest is definitely my go-to kind of inspiration source. Yeah, because I'm so indecisive, and then I always need to know, I need to have a plan. I tend to do the color mapping before I start final illustration. So I just printed out all the roughs. I made it into like small size, and then I just color in with color pencil or markers and stuff. And then it helps to put all the little colored thumbnails one big paper, and then see if everything has kind of in good harmony. So actually, this spread, I really struggle. I couldn't decide, what color it should be, because it's supposed to be kind of sunset time. So originally I had it in very pink. Actually, I did the final illustration. It didn't work with other spreads. So that's why I changed to more kind of blue.
Yeah. This page in particular is really interesting because I know you had to make a change, and this was the original version.
Yeah, that was the trickiest one. So the spread has a lot of puzzle paintings the son made, and then originally I had the painting of kind of from impressionist and contemporary paintings, and then they were supposed to be in theme of like a loneliness and kind of melancholy. So it's like, for example, one was like Edward Hopper's Nighthawks.
Yes. I can see it there, yeah.
Picasso's Harlequin.
Yeah. And there's Van Gogh's Starry Night there.
Exactly. So it's like, so I thought, it would be, good idea to kind of, show loneliness of the sun. So, and I really like the idea and stuff. Also, I had some like a famous smile. So I had a picture of Einstein and,
and Marilyn Monroe.
And stuff. But then, so like my art director and editor was originally okay with the idea, but when the spread went to legal team of the publisher, they pointed out, maybe we should change.
So you've replaced it with all these lovely cats. The cats are in the pose of some famous works of art as well, aren't they? Like there's the Laughing Cavalier there.
Yeah, and also I put a bit of like, which one? Oh yeah, the Titanic. The cat doing the Kate Winslet pose. I think this version works better because the connection between loneliness and cat lady. First place, so I wanted kind of big, impact.
Yeah. You feel as if you're looking down from really high above, and yet you can kind of zoom in and see all the tiny details of what the people are having for their picnic.
I wanted to make the sun really big on the spread. If it's normal, like on the ground angle, sun will be very tiny.
Yeah, exactly. It's like a real logistical problem solving exercise, isn't it? And that was a good solution.
Thanks. Yeah. I found it interesting because I finish this book early 2020,
Before lockdown.
before lockdown. Yeah. After I finished this book and in the middle of the lockdown, I realized how much I'm in this book. I realized, oh, I'm the son. I didn't realize how much of me in this story, until I got through this pandemic.
How interesting. So
Yeah,
kind of hindsight has made it
yeah.
come true.
Yeah, and then, just know I had a bit of a hard time, especially last year.
Yeah.
And I realized how much I'm not good at asking for help.
And it's so important to find a way to do that, isn't it?
Yeah. So I was like, oh, I'm the son, And then this came out this April.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm glad it came out like a really good time because I'm sure many kids felt or are feeling the same way.
And I'm sure actually there must be a lot of parents who would feel that they had to be the son for their children,
exactly.
keeping everything going all through the pandemic. So that will resonate with them too. So thank you so much, Momoko. That's been really, really interesting. And
thank you.
It's my pleasure.
I'm going to end as usual with a quote from Maurice Sendak, and this one I think is particularly appropriate for Momoko's book, which is so original in the concept. It's from Caledcott Co. Maurice Sendak was asked, what should we look for in a picture book? And he said, originality of vision. Someone who has something to say and a fresh way of saying it. Do not look for pyrotechnics, for someone who can make a big slam-bang picture book out of very little. Look for the artist who thinks idiosyncratically. Well, I think Momoko's book is a great example of that, and I hope you enjoyed hearing about her process. See you next time.